Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Welcome to another edition of M.A.S.S Impact, the educational podcast. Now, look, the reason why I started this, I truly believe that education is the way to close the gap, the wealth gap, the digital divide gap, the opportunity gap. Look, the American dream gap. Can I be honest? Everybody's not experiencing the American dream in the way it's supposed to be experienced. So the reason why we started the M.A.S.S Impact, the educational podcast, is to close that gap. Now look, M.A.S.S is simple. It means motivate, actionable steps, which means what? We're going to give you strategies every week. So we're not just going to motivate you and inspire you, which is important, but we're going to give you actionable steps. And look, it's a support system, y'all. Thus M.A.S.S. It's your boy E.T. Now you know. Let's go.
Yo, what's up, fam? It's your boy E.T. Man, super excited as always. And I don't know, it just seems like the more, I hear what's going on in schools, the more determined I get, And I just want to encourage everybody here at M.A.S.S Impact, the reality is stuff is going to happen, life is going to happen. And if you respond to it in the negative, then we're only adding fuel to the fire. We literally have to motivate. We really have to have an action step, and we really do have to be supportive. And so the more challenges we have, the more inspiring we have to be. The more chaotic things are, the more structured we have to be. And the more people feel that they can't trust the educational system, the more support we need to provide to combat that, So, that's the only way you can have M.A.S.S impact, and that's what it's about. And I say this all the time, and, I hope it resonates with people, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's just the reality. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think a lot of times, we get into the work, whatever that work is, and we get into it, with this ideology that, everything's going to be okay. And actually, the reason why we're needed is because everything is not okay. Like, that's why we're needed. We're not needed because, people just want us in seats. I don't think Nick Saban recruits kids just to play football. Like, he wants to win the national championship. And I think the Nuggets drafted who they drafted and, went through Murray's injury because they felt like, this person could win the championship. And I want us to just be reminded that everybody's trying to win a championship, and only those who can get through certain things can get to that championship, right? And so stay encouraged. I feel like I'm always excited with the summer because I feel like the summer is a time to reset. The summer is a time to regroup, refresh and get back at it. What I'm saying? I don't see the summer as a time to necessarily take off. It's just a time to approach it differently, and so I'm super excited about the summer. We have something planned for you guys for the summer slide. We hope that it won't be a summer slide. We hope it'll be a summer ascension this year. And we won't go backwards. We'll, move forward. So, super excited about that. So we have we have a topic today that will require us to bring in some special guests. Of course, we might look a little slim today. We're accustomed to Sam being here and Vondell being here. They weren't able to be with us today. They are both
in action today, changing the world.
Yeah, they're both changing the world. So it's just the two of us, but we have two guests. I don't know if we want to bring our guests in first and then do the topic, Katie, or do the topic and then bring in our guests.
Let's do it. I'm going to bring them in one at a time. I want to give them a proper introduction because we try to make sure we bring the best value here, and we have really exciting guests with us today. So our first guest, I'm going to bring him in right away, but I want to just actually read a little bit about him, if that's okay, so that everybody knows who they get to hear from. Dr. McGhee, we're so glad that you're here. He is a self-identified, he says, transformational leader because he's transformed schools, serves with compassion, and is inspirational to those in his care. So Dr. McGhee has been in school since 2005. He was Teacher of the Year during his first year teaching, which I think is incredible as an elementary teacher. He went on to teach high school at the high school level, developed curriculum. In 2011, Dr. McGhee became assistant principal and then head principal in 2015. He was at an elementary school and changed that school from being one of the worst performing schools in the state to an international baccalaureate world school. And he is currently high school principal at Innovation Central in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So Dr. McGhee, you are, it says, irrationally optimistic. We love that about you. We're so glad that you're here. We'll let you jump in and tell us more about yourself, but thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Did we mention Motown? I don't know if I heard anything about Motown.
Detroit, man. Detroit. Yeah. Mumford High School. Yeah, I didn't put that in.
I had to put that in, and we go way, way back. Sometimes I forget what era I met these different students in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I started coming to Michigan State back in the 90s. To 2000s, I actually moved to the city, whatever. But a lot of these guys I know when Murray, Rodney used to bring me in. It's just exciting to see you guys. I was just doing I just did a high school commencement, and the people in the high school was like, yo, how do we get you here? And I know we couldn't afford you. And I was like, yeah, well, you got two of my finalists from Michigan State who are now one of the lead teachers and one of the lead teacher assistants. So so I'm like, hey, wherever my babies are, if they need me, I'm there. So it's great to see you guys beyond the classroom and now in the classroom making a difference. And Quetta, she actually just got her PhD this week. And I think she came whenever Tim City was there, she was there during that era. And so it's just, man, a blessing to see you guys changing the world, especially being from, Motown and changing the state as a whole. So congratulations to you. I think we got one more guest.
We do. Let me bring him in and tell you about him too. And then we'll jump into our conversation, our topic today. Mr. Rhyan Ramirez is also here with us today from Greenville, South Carolina, by way of the Bay Area in California. And he brings over 11 years of experience in adult mental health as a licensed psychiatric technician and 9 years and counting working as an SEL educator and lead trainer in elementary schools. He also coaches, facilitates for educators, trainings, parents, all of those that care for youth. So your main message, Rhyan, is, you help me out if I miss it, but embracing identity, living in authenticity, purpose, and self-awareness, right? So that is some perfect things to throw in the mix of our conversation today.
Yes, that's it. Realize with your realize, right? That's it right there. And it's really seeing yourself in your most authentic self for sure. And then creating that identity, living with authenticity and stepping into that purpose. And we all have one. So excited to be here. Thank y'all for the opportunity. It is great to just be with greats, among the greats for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but your camera is definitely in your background is looking great there, man. I love it. I love it. Katie, our topic in terms of how we're going to dissect that today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about preparing students for the workforce today. So what does that look like K-12 and making sure that we are not just covering our content and taking care of kids, but really preparing them for what comes next after they enter or exit that K-12 space?
Yeah, when you say that, man, and I always like to speak truth, not to discourage, but really to prepare. And I think when you talk about preparing our children for the workforce, I think we have to take a step back and prepare those of us who are teaching kids, because it's been a shift. There's been a real shift in what workforce means and what workforce looks like. And I think for a lot of us, I was taught by, of course, my mom, who it must have been the Industrial Revolution, must have just really been, firing on all cylinders. I mean, I'm from Detroit. So you talk Ford, GM, and Chrysler, like that was our reality, and I look at the workforce today and it's not, I don't even know if humans are as involved in the workforce as they were when I was taught what the workforce was. Last time I went to Walmart, I don't know if there were, it might have been one or two lines with a human.
Yeah, that's true.
Might have been one or two. Yeah, but the majority, and I don't even think they were encouraging us to go to them. They were there like in case of an emergency. Like they were shifting us to go to the lines and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So the workforce looks so different. I was in Atlanta, creepy for me, creepy. My daughter ordered some food from some vegan restaurant. And when we got there, it wasn't a warehouse. It reminded me of a old school post office, right? And it had those big, like mailbox units. And I was thinking, what in the world? Where are the people? And I literally saw one individual, and my daughter's food, as well as other people's, was on this like robot thing. And it literally took the food to the box and put it inside the box. And they sent my daughter a code, and she used the code to open the door and grab it. And I was like, okay. So for me, I think, and brainwash is the term I want to use, and I want to use it in a positive way. But I really feel like there are those of us who were raised by the baby boomers, and maybe even older Gen X that had a different construct of what the workforce is, and they're teaching kids about the workforce. And so I think they need to be educated on what that means in 2023. And then moving forward. So for me, guys, as we spread it around, I just think the first training needs to happen with those of us who are doing the training. So we have our finger on the pulse of what the workforce really is and what it means, so that we can really prepare them to be successful in it.
McGhee, you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And what we have to do is take that information, take those experiences and say, okay, we have to start looking at these K-12 spaces and making it work so that we're preparing them for that, right? We have to. So schools have to intentionally create programs, enhance programs to meet those needs, right? So that comes to talking about those skills that are needed for those types of jobs. And also having the conversation that, college might not be the only route for you.
Definitely.
Might not be the only route, because there are careers that are well-paying that don't require a college degree anymore. So in our case, we do that. There's a pathway. It says, hey, college looks like a 4-year institution, a 2-year institution, or the workforce. And this is what this looks like. And we prepare our students so that for those entry-level positions, they're more prepared than their entry-level counterparts who don't go to our school, so that we can get them ready for those jobs. So absolutely, schools got to jump on board.
How do you do that, though, Jay? How do you shift the culture that has always made a connection between K through 12 and the university? And I remember a time so in recent years, we had to shift to even the online experience, right? Because there was a time in our culture where even the online experience was taboo. Like the online experience was inferior. And now we're starting to see that the online experience is really more dominant than the in-person experience.
Yeah.
But if you would have said in my era, I got a degree online, I'd be like, you have a real degree. And so we've had to shift to now it's the information. It doesn't matter if you get it online, it doesn't matter if you get it inside. How do we help people? And this could be for anybody. How do we help educators, right, shift from college, which we've always taught that, hey, you don't have a real, like, let's just be honest. You're inferior if you don't have a college degree. Like that's always been, the thing. Oh, you doing trade school? Trade school? So no, now trade school is probably makes more sense in 2023, especially when you talk about paying $100,000 to go to school. You don't have to pay that. You go to trade, you just get it and you get. So how do we help teachers or educators understand that it's a new sheriff in town and be able to say that from their heart, not just from their mind?
Yeah, man. I'll just tackle it real quick. Number one, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So like with AI, so you're talking about online, now we're talking about AI and Chat GPT. one of the things that I do as a principal is I make my staff uncomfortable by saying, go to ChatGPT and create a lesson plan and use AI. Because it's a powerful tool. It's not always as bad as you think it is, but is there some good to it as well? And so now they're a little uncomfortable. Or you start bringing in those welders, those electricians, those CNC machinists who are making 60, 70,000 a year, and you bringing them in front of the students and saying, hey, look at these opportunities. And so when they start seeing those narratives starting to come to the surface, they're like, oh, okay, well, this is a thing. So now I have facts. Now I have information that aligns with this theoretical idea that this is a thing now. And now they can make some real hard comparisons. So that's just the start. But that leader got to be bold to put their staff in a position to be a little bit uncomfortable and be treacherous and then going out into these territories and making it happen.
Yeah.
Makes it tangible for them. I love that.
And I know for myself, just coming from a different lens, a different perspective, when I do parent nights, for example, I always ask the parents, what do you want for your children? What are your goals? What are your dreams for them? And of course, they want them to get the education, get the job. And I'm like, okay, and what is that for? And ultimately, it leads to some type of financial success. So I lead in with this statistic here: 85% of financial success is attributed to emotional intelligence, while only 15% is attributed to technical skills.
Wow.
Harvard Business School.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when I'm talking EQ and I'm talking emotional intelligence, this can be learned and it's learnable. It can be developed over time. So I bring it back to this, like you say, culture of, can we really teach the self-awareness, the self-regulation, the skill sets they need so they can get along with others, work with others, again, moving forward, and then being able to just really decipher the difference between what feels good for them and what's good for them. And so whenever I lead in with that, a lot of parents get curious around, okay, well, what is EQ? What is emotional intelligence? Why is it important? And I'm like, these are all skills we need just in life in general, but especially professionally. So just to add on to kind of, the mindset and the shift of the culture, we got to start really having these conversations. Like we would say, be in your feelings, but don't stay there. Right? Like, be aware of them, but don't stay there, because that's a dangerous place, and just move through and just move forward.
Yeah. In school, you always hear this word, especially education, self-efficacy, right? But I think we're at a point in America's history where that's real, and our children need more academic autonomy than they've ever needed before.
Yeah.
I mean, it was easier growing up in Detroit, going through school and having this industry, right? Like right in your backyard. So like, it's easy. Like, it's not hard for teachers. Like, yo, you got to prepare us to go to Ford. You got to prepare us to go to gym. You got to prepare us to go to Chrysler. Like, it's easy work, bro. It's like a layup. But now those industries don't exist in that way. Right? And then we throw in COVID, and bro, I can't tell you the last time I had a staff meeting in person. Dr. J, I can't tell you the last time, I can't tell you when we were at an office and everybody was sitting around a desk and we were chopping up. Like, it's obsolete. Like, it probably happens less than 20% of the time in America. Most of us are on our phones or we're on computers, working. And so there is no avatar, like one avatar anymore. How we define work and how we define workforce and how we define how we make money, how we define, it's totally different. And I look at even the struggle in my own home, with my wife being super structured, and like, they need to do this, they need to do that. And I'm like, oh, I feel you, but that's not even what you're talking about. Like, that's not even necessarily there anymore. Those opportunities don't exist. And so one year you can make money this way and another year you make money this way, and so I think we need to move away from being as dominant as we used to be as educators to being facilitators. And I mean it with all my heart. Like, we have to be facilitators. Like, we cannot babysit these kids anymore. They have to be more flexible than they've ever been. They have to be more spontaneous than they've ever been. Why? Because the country that we live in is not as stable as it was 30, 40 years ago. Like, the country itself is not stable. You look at our economic situation. It's not what it was 30 years ago. It's not what it was 3 years ago.
That's
And
predictable.
so, so when we say workforce, for me, to Ryan's point, we have to, I don't know, Ryan, I don't know, you tell me when you say emotional intelligence, because that could go anywhere, but we have to put more emotional intelligence. Like we have to put more, what do they want? How are they going to get it? What's best for them? How are they going to survive in the real world? Like we have to do way more of that starting in kindergarten.
Yep.
Than we've ever done before. And I'm telling you, when I went to school, bro, it was like an assembly line. It was like boom, 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 boom. And it can't work anymore. So right when you talk about this emotional intelligence, how do we do that? And how is that going to help in the workforce?
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely. So one of the activities or exercise, real simple, is we teach is active listening.
Yeah.
Right before we even, like, whenever I talk to parents and they go, "How was your day?" or "What do you want to do?" It's like, "Are you really ready for that answer?" And so we teach parents just to be active listeners with really listening to what they really are saying and needing, not what we think they want or what we think they need. And I think once parents really start learning how to get out of the way and letting their young people speak from their heart, speak from the mind, dream and imagine, then we can take that and then we put a plan together. Then we just have these little like listening sessions. And I'm doing this on kindergarten levels, elementary school levels. And there was a story where one of the teachers and even one of the parents, we taught them a check-in tool. It was 1 minute each, uninterrupted. You're not giving advice. You're just giving your child a 1 minute just to say whatever's on their mind, whatever they're going through. No judgment, no question asking, no interrupting. And I remember he had 2 daughters. He comes back a couple months later. He goes, "I got a problem." I'm like, "Okay, what happened?" He said, "My daughters are fighting for my time." They went from 1 minute to 7-minute check-ins. And he said their relationship has gotten so much better because they know they're not going to get in trouble. They're going to say what they feel, what they're going through. And if they want help, they'll ask for it, and vice versa. And the dad will. So the parenting style is a lot different than it was. And it's not let them do what they want, but let them share what is going on. And then we can work from that place because it's real and it's authentic. But until we actually start having those, active listening, getting them ready to teach them that in the workplace. My daughter's she's 26. She's applying for a job right now through Indeed. And I said, when you go to your interview, listen for what they're really wanting from you and ask yourself, can you really provide that?
Yeah. That transparency thing is deep, and I think one of the challenges that we have culturally, is me growing up. I remember Leave It to Beaver, and Leave It to Beaver and that whole era, it was a image that you had to uphold, and whether you were that person or not, you had to uphold that image. And it's been that way for so many years. And I think one of the challenges with where we are today is authenticity is really realer than it's ever been before. Like it's a part of our, fabric. And I think we have to be careful because for these kids to be able to survive, we have to be more authentic.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, education, whatever, it's our self-image, and we got to get that out of the way. So for me, it's like if my daughter is really going to get knowledge, she got to get it all. You know what I'm saying? My son is really going to get knowledge, and I'll just give a practical illustration. For me, I don't mind having real conversations with my wife in our home, and my daughter's here. Like I don't have no problem. Like I don't have a problem with you. Like I'm not interested in how you see me more than I'm interested in see how you see marriage for real. Like you need to have. I don't want your image of me to be your focal point to now you're not even really seeing what marriage is. And then you get in it and you're like, yo, what's wrong? Well, what's wrong is you never really got exposed to marriage for real is what's wrong. Like when you were out the house, we had these conversations. When you were in the house, we had these kind of conversations. You weren't privy to, the real deal Holyfield when you and your mom, like we had differences and you like whatever. So now you're going into a relationship. So I can do that. I'm an adult. I can hide stuff from you if I want to. I can do that, but I'm not going to hide stuff from you because I really want you to know what marriage is so that you can prepare yourself for it. And I think one of the things we have to stop doing in education is we have to stop waiting until they get older to share stuff with them that they needed to hear anyway. So we need to start in kindergarten. We need to start in first grade, second grade, third grade. Like And I always laugh, Jay, at teachers who are like, well, we don't want to talk about that in school. They talk about it at home.
They are.
Like they already know this stuff. They already been exposed. I saw a parent saying, well, they had a song that they were playing at the school and they said this and it said this and they had the N-word. And I'm like, not trying to be funny. They doing that all the time outside of your presence. So now we're playing these games of they can't hear this and they're already hearing it. And the challenge that I have is they're hearing it in an environment that's not good for them. So if we're going to talk truth, it needs to be done in an academic environment so that answers to some of the stuff we have. And I used to tease my mom all the time, Jay. And I used to tell my mom, like, yo, I felt y'all I'm trying to be secretive with the birds and the bees, but we were still talking about it. So y'all didn't want to talk about it. On the block, we was talking about it. And I don't know if that's where you wanted me to learn. Like, I learned some very important stuff, not from you and not from Dad. I learned it on the streets. That's probably not where I should have gotten it. And I think one of the things that we need to do in the schools, if we're going to really prepare our kids for the workforce and for the world, because that's really what we're saying. When you say the workforce, you're talking about them being ready for the world. The best way to do it is to be honest, open, upfront, and we can pull the covers back. Why? Because my daughter's on the internet. My son's on the internet. So if they're on the internet, they're already getting all the truth, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, they getting all the information anyway. And so it's better to do it in a safe environment than it is to do it in an environment where they're going to get some miscues. So I would just say to all my educators out there, you can't hide it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't hide it. Like if you were wondering if they were getting it, they're getting it. They're just getting it outside. And so to your point, Ryan, if we ask the questions and we're ready to deal with the responses, I think we do our kids a much better job. And y'all heard me say this before. One of my biggest struggles at Michigan State was, man, we're doing all this research and this is phenomenal. But we're researching about a group of kids who don't know what the research is. And it's going to benefit them way more. It's going to benefit me. I'm going to use it for them. But they need to be like, I think they need to, like, right, you just did, Harvard research said, most of our class should be telling these kids what the research says. Yeah. I don't know why we don't have a second grade research class. Like we should have a research class that's saying, if you're in the second grade, here are all the things that they're saying about you. Here's all of the data that's out there on you. Now take it and do something in the second grade that's going to set you up, for the third grade. Because I hear students say to me all the time, man, why didn't they teach us that? Or why didn't they tell us that? Yeah. Or why did not? Kids in jail. I'm in Rikers Island in New York. Kids are like, man, why did they and why didn't they? And it's like, they were trying to protect you, but they didn't protect you because you didn't get the type of information you needed to put you in a trade school or college. Instead, you ended up in prison.
Yeah, so that helps them to buy in is one of the big things, I think. And that's one of the things that we do with the Playbook program, right, E? So at the beginning of that, when we launch that in schools, we talk real data about literacy and leadership. If those are our goals, to increase literacy and leadership skills, we want the kids to understand why before we just jump into the tangible ways to increase those skills. So we do a lot of data with them on what do literacy levels look like and why is that actually an important thing that we need to spend time on, and sharing them with families is the other thing. I love that you brought up parents, right? Because that is so key for families to understand the importance of all of those things. And so, I'm going to bring up literacy and a part of this conversation that is across all areas of wherever our kids go, whether they become welders or engineers or anywhere, they have to be readers. They have to be good readers. So we have to care about that across all content levels. Right now, 46 to 51% of American adults have an income level well below the poverty line because of their inability to read. So it impacts, right? It has such long-term impacts. And those are things that, like you just said, we can share with our students in an appropriate, age-appropriate way. Our kids and our families need to hear those things. And then as educators, we have to care about that being a main focus across all content areas for sure.
Yeah, Katie, just to, really drive that point home, I know we're all familiar with a term that's called secondhand smoke. Right? In many cases, secondhand smoke could be worse than the firsthand boy. You feel me? And for a lot of you, you're secondhand information getters. The secondhand. And this is why reading is important, because now it's firsthand.
Yeah.
And when you know something for yourself, you have a confidence that's unbelievable. And mastery cannot happen without self. Like you can't master something that you don't do yourself. And so if you're listening to what other people are saying, or you're taking advice from other individuals, that's secondhand information. It's not as powerful. And so this is why reading is important, because reading allows your eyes to see it. Reading allows your brain, right, to store it. Mm-hmm. Reading allows your heart to feel it, right? And so when you read, it's yours at that point. Like it's yours. It belongs to you. You can put it in your closet, right? I don't know how many J's I have, right? I don't wear them all at one time, but it's good to know, you know what I'm saying, when Toad was in Transformers and I wanted to salute Bumblebee, I could wear the black
I saw those
with the yellow trim. You know what I'm saying? I got them. And just like you feel good about owning a pair of shoes, like I told the guy the other day, he sent me to some J's. I was like, bro, I can't do nothing with that. He's like, why not? I said, I need all black and red, or all black and white. That's a different color. Like my wardrobe consists of mainly just black and white, bro. That's it. I can't do anything with that. And so what reading allows you to do, to go, yo, I got 80 pair of J's, where I got 80 pairs of information. And I can pair it with however I want to pair it, whenever I want to pair it, and where would I. But the worst thing in the world is to have an outfit and not have the J's to go with it. You know what I'm saying? And it costs more when you try to buy them on the spot. It just costs too much. They know you need them. And so we want you to read, because yes, there are things that you probably don't need right now, 1,000%. But then when it's time to get it, it's almost too late when it's time. Like when you actually need it, it's probably too late. So this is why reading allows us to get things and store things and put them up. And then when we need them, we could just pull that information down. We can download it, and then boom, we can use. So I echo that. Reading changed my life, and it is changing my life. Even if Katie says something, I still want to go look it up. Not even to make sure that it's authentic. I want to read it because it's something about my eyes seeing it. It's something about it getting into my spirit, that when I speak it, I have more clarity and authority than when I say, Katie said, it just is not as strong. But when I go, oh, Katie said this, let me go read that. And then boom, I got it. Takes to that. So please tell your babies, read, and tell them why. Not because of a grade or some academic incentive. No, tell them this really is life and death.
It will impact.
It has a lot to do with your reading. I shouldn't say your reading level, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I would just echo that and say, you know what, it's a skill, right? It's a skill it's a tangible skill. It's a skill that you use. But to Ryan's point, there's also these, they used to call them soft skills, which I don't like that term, right? 21st century skills, right? Or like I like to call them power skills, human skills. Right? These power skills, you need active listening. You need reading skills. You need leadership skills. You need communication skills. That's what's going to take you. When you combine those together, it's like Voltron, right? And now you can go into the 21st century for real, in this workforce and say, I'm here. I can do it, whatever. I can go college. I can go workforce. I'm ready because I have the skills within me from my school and from people like Ryan who are pouring into us to make this thing work. So I'm with you all the way.
Yes. He's pitching the playbook program and he doesn't know it, because leadership and literacy.
I love it.
Those two things together, because they're so impactful.
Yeah.
And if I could just share this quick story, right? Because I think it's important to the other piece of active listening. The second step I ask teachers and I ask parents is, how authentic is your support? Like, take a moment and really think about your support. What level of authenticity and genuineness is your support when it comes to a young person's ideas and dreams? So growing up Filipino in California, Bay Area, Asian, like, you get good grades, you do something in healthcare, like that's just the model. The mindset was people was migrating from the Philippines to become nurses and doctors, and that's just how it was. So I remember growing up, it wasn't ever in my heart to want to be in the medical field, but I ended up being in mental health for 11 years working with adults. Originally, it was because I wanted to impress my ex-fiance's family. That's a whole different story, another Asian family, right? But what ended up happening, I ended up working there for 11 years in the hospital, but I tell people my heart wasn't beating hard enough. Because I was doing youth ministry on the side. I was working as an SEL educator part-time. I love working with kids, parents, teachers, but I knew getting the safe, steady state job with medical benefits and all of that was going to make my parents happy. Mm-hmm. And so then when I decided, Danielle, my wife said, look, you're not happy there. You're always doing all this other work in the community outside of what you're doing at the hospital. Just leave and we'll figure it out. And so, of course, for me, 11 years, again, state job, benefits, it's there. And I said, what am I going to tell my mom? Because my mom was happy when I got the job. She was telling all of her friends, posting on Facebook, oh, look at my son. He's working at the hospital. Yeah. And then I told my mom, I said, okay, Ma, here we go. So I told my mom, I said, hey, Ma, I got to tell you something. She's like, what's up? I was like, I'm leaving the hospital. And she was like, she paused for a second. She said, finally. I said, what? And she said, yeah, I've been waiting for you the whole time. You've been loving working with kids. You work in the church. You do this in the schools. She was like, I was just waiting for you to tell me. And so in my mind, I was thinking she was going to be upset, try to convince me to stay. And she was like, you know why I don't, and she was like, you know why I don't worry about you. And I was like, why is that, Ma? She's like, you haven't asked me to borrow money for like 5 years. And she was like, you're Danielle's problem. So she knew I was making moves responsibly, but she genuinely supported me in this move. So when I think about leaving a steady, secure job, which many people have the challenge with because my heart wasn't beating hard enough, like that support from my mom that day will never die for me. I always remember how much, and she still does till this day, reposting all my stuff, telling her friends even more about what I do in the world with young people. So for all the educators and parents, ask yourself, like, is your support for young people, how authentic is it? How authentic is it? Even if it goes against the standard or the norm of what the culture is saying, can you really truly support and walk with them in a way that they feel so supported that they're going to want to honor you in that way? So just a little backstory perspective on my end.
All right. Well, we have a custom here where we take the last 4 minutes and we each do a round, 1 minute round to kind of summarize it. So I'll start off, go to Katie, and then give you guys some opportunity to kind of see how we do it. And you guys can enforce, we'll end with Rhyan. One of the things where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And I think we have to do a better job of helping our young people not just go through the routine of school. It's a very structured environment, and if we're not careful, it can almost be like an assembly line. Mm-hmm. Most people know I told the story of I got an Escalade, and a brand new Escalade, and the engine blew. And so for me, that is an indicant that somebody was going through the motions. Somebody was just putting parts in. Somebody wasn't really paying attention to, is it working? It was just, it go a checklist and we could check everything off. And when you look at the outside of the car and the engine, it has all the pieces, but I don't even think it was 10,000 miles on it. So somebody wasn't really paying attention to, is the engine functional? Is it going to do what we said it's going to do? Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. So we need to make sure that education is functional, that we're not just going through the motions, but it would all these, 180 days, that at the end of that, there's something tangible that our babies have that will allow them to make ends meet. They can take all that information and really live the American dream. Because if you spend all that time going to school and you still can't tap into the American dream, it is my belief, and I could be wrong, Dr. J, it's my belief that the educational system is supposed to be the training grounds for the American dream.
Sure.
To me, I think that's what the function of it is. You spend all this time there, then you go to college or a trade school so that you know how to read, you know how to write, you know how to comprehend, you know how to critical think, you know how to solve problems. Why? Not for the sake of saying you know how to do it, so that you can tap into the American dream. Unlike a lot of countries, they don't have a free educational system. So for me, it's like, let's not fail these kids with 13 years of waste.
That's right.
Let's figure out for them, what are they focused on, and how can we use these academic tools to help them to eventually live the life that they dream of.
I love it. I'll be quick and then I'll send it to you, Dr. McGhee. I'm going to try to hit us with a book recommendation during my last minutes here now. And I love it. I already had this picked out, but it fits so well with our conversations today because we talked about starting at the elementary level. And we also talked so much about, I was going to say soft skills, but now I'm going to say power skills. I liked that. And so this book, if you're an elementary teacher or a parent, it's called I Am Human, a book of empathy. By Susan Verde. And it is so good, but it literally teaches kids how to be empathetic and compassionate and bold and courageous. And, you could even read this honestly through the high school level and have good conversations, but really great picture book. So that's I'm going to end with that recommendation. Like, let's make sure that we're making literacy a priority and these power skills that are going to help our children to be who we want them to be.
Love it.
Yep. Real quick, this is for all those who are in schools. If you're leading schools, move away from that boring mission statement that says we want to create civilians to be civilized and, go-getters for the world. We got to move away from that. So make a purpose statement instead. Instead of a mission statement, let's do a purpose statement. And make it simple. My school, we prepare scholars to live life beyond graduation.
Love it.
And then we figure it out from there. Move from the mission, not saying the mission is bad or wrong, but let's go with the purpose first. Create the purpose and then follow your mission. But shorten that up, make it sweet. Preparing students for a life beyond graduation. Be intentional about your leadership and what you do.
Love it.
Let's go. Yeah, I'm gonna share a message that I share usually at the end of the parent nights and my staffing services. So for all of our educators out there, we know we're going through a hard time. We know we're going through some challenging times, but there's a ray of hope. And that ray of hope is you. Yeah, that ray of hope is you watching this podcast, listening to this podcast. And the message I share is you were made for this moment. You were made for this moment. Everything that you've been through, everything that you've experienced, all of your skills, all of your education, all of your lived experience brought you to this moment to bring that light to the young people. And when we can do that for them, then they'll realize that they were also made for this moment. So continue to be the light, continue to be that ray of hope, despite the struggle. Lean on your community. We believe in you. You got this.
Amen. There you have it. M.A.S.S Impact. Hopefully you could take something that was said today and impact somebody close to you. And remember, man, you have to change millions of lives. I know the internet has people thinking that they have to have 10,000 followers. Let me tell you something. If you were in a room and there were 30 people, that's a lot of people to impact. And so let's not let the internet make us feel 30 people is not a lot of people. If you had 100 people in a room with you, you had 100 people in your living room, I'm believing that you'd be like, whoa, it's a lot of people to feed. You know, I got 100 people over in that living room waiting to eat. Each individual we have is important. Let's help one individual at a time. And if we're blessed to reach thousands, kudos, millions, kudos. But know that each individual, somebody saved me. One individual, high school dropout, wasn't taking school serious. Somebody spoke to me about getting a GED and going to college, and it has changed my life forever. And this one person has touched millions. So just know you may not touch millions, but you may touch one person that might touch the millions. ET, M.A.S.S Impact. We'll see y'all next week for another edition of, thanks to my special guests, really family. They're just guests to y'all.
Absolutely.
So we'll see y'all on the next podcast. Blessings.
Appreciate y'all.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Principal's Office right here on M.A.S.S Impact, the education podcast. Now, this week, we are switching it up a little bit. We've got a legendary starting lineup for you guys. Of course, we have Dr. Jason McGhee. He is an educational leader, coach, and most importantly, I love this term, an irrational optimist. That's so good. We've also got Rhyan Ramirez. He's a life coach, youth mentor, and critically acclaimed mental health advocate. Listen, you cannot miss these great minds discussing this week's topic, which is preparing students for the workforce. Because as we all know, having student success in the classroom is important, but why? It's not necessarily just for the sake of student success in the classroom. It's for the sake of what that's going to lead to in the perpetual impact of their lives and the lives of all those who they touch after they leave the classroom, right? So it's a super important topic. And as teachers, we aim to empower the education system further to help students prepare themselves for their careers. So with that being said, you already know. You've heard ET said it over and over and over again. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So we know it's not easy, but that's what makes us different. That's what makes us capable of making a mass impact, is that we're willing to do the things that are difficult. We're willing to do the things that are not easy because we know that they are worth it. Now, in this session, we're going to touch on shifting the culture. To prepare the students, we must prepare the teachers. That's where everything starts. Furthermore, we highlight the multiple lanes of education, enhanced programming for students, online educational experience, and second-hand smoke. Take advantage of the exclusive opportunity to level up your educational impact and make a lasting impact on your students' lives. I'm telling you, this is an episode that you cannot afford to miss. Teachers, educators, and students, use this discussion to equip yourselves with the tools to make a mass impact on those, on you and those around you. Whether it be 100 people or 10 people or 2 people or 20 people, you owe it to yourself to be the absolute best that you can be. And that starts with equipping yourself with specialized knowledge, with information just like this, so that you can take that information and go leverage it out there in your classrooms and your schools and anywhere else where you are connecting with people that you have the ability to impact them. Now, if you're interested in diving even deeper into topics and concepts just like the ones covered on today's episode, make sure that you visit theplaybookprogram.com and email us at info@accessedu.com. And maybe, just maybe, you can get Katie, ET, and the entire team to work directly with you and your school. Again, that's theplaybookprogram.com. Sign up, get more information, get on the email list, and secure your spot right now so that you can work one-on-one with Katie, ET, and the whole squad to take your school, your classroom, and your students to the next level. That's all for me today, but you already know you're going to see us back here again in the principal's office on M.A.S.S Impact next week.